When Enslaved Odyssey to the West launched in October 2010, it did so in the shadow of some of the most aggressive marketing campaigns of its generation. The seventh console generation, dominated by the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Wii, was a time of spectacle, brand dominance, and escalating budgets. AAA releases were increasingly measured in terms of production value, marketing footprint, and the size of their worlds rather than the emotional resonance they delivered. Into this world came Enslaved, developed by Ninja Theory, a studio already known for experimenting with narrative and performance. With prior titles like Heavenly Sword, yet even with a pedigree of ambitious storytelling, Enslaved was not positioned to dominate sales charts or critical discourse. Its ambition was quieter, more subtle, and arguably riskier. It sought to fuse action, traversal, and narrative in a way that prioritized mood, emotional authenticity, and journey over spectacle. The game's initial reception reflected this. Critics praised the visual design, the motion-captured performances, and the ambition of its story, but they often critiqued its combat and pacing as shallow or uneven. Commercially, it was modestly successful, but never a blockbuster. And yet, over time, Enslaved has carved out a lasting niche, remembered not for perfection, but for its heart, its intent, and the quiet ambition that permeated every frame. To understand Enslaved, it is crucial to situate it within the industry context of 2010. The market was dominated by sequels and franchises. Call of Duty Black Ops, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Halo Reach, and Red Dead Redemption were among the most talked about titles. Large-scale open worlds, multiplayer components, and blockbuster action defined the mainstream. Within this climate, Enslaved's linear, narrative-focused structure felt anomalous. It was neither a sandbox nor a multiplayer-driven experience. It didn't offer the power fantasies of a shooter or the emergent storytelling of an open world. Instead, it offered a journey with a relatively small cast of characters in a meticulously designed post-apocalyptic world where environmental storytelling, traversal, and relationship dynamics were foregrounded above mechanical complexity or combat spectacle. This ambition made the game feel both of its time and ahead of its time. Cinematic technique, motion-captured performances, and voice acting were increasingly common, but few titles invested as much in making the subtle emotional beats of interpersonal relationships the driving force of gameplay. Perhaps the most immediate striking element of Enslaved is its world building. In an era of post-apocalyptic games dominated by brown, gray, and desaturated visuals, Fallout, Metro 2033, Mad Max, Enslaved took a radically different approach. Its world is lush, overgrown, and filled with vibrant greenery that contrasts sharply with the ruins of humanity. Buildings are crumbling but covered in ivy. Highways have been overtaken by grass and trees. Skyscrapers lean but are framed by sunlit skies. The effect is to transform what could have been a bleak and oppressive post-apocalypse into something melancholic, reflective, and alive. This is not merely an aesthetic choice. It communicates a philosophy. The world continues even without humans. Civilization's fall is complete. What remains is the interaction between the remnants of humanity and the indifference of nature. Players are not navigating a hostile wasteland. They are passing through a world slowly reclaiming itself. This design philosophy subtly shapes the emotional core of the game. Danger is not omnipresent. Violence exists, but it's mechanical, not environmental. The world communicates through absence rather than spectacle. It's quiet, contemplative, and grounded, encouraging players to reflect on both the ruins of the past and the impermanence of control. Traversal in Enslaved is not designed to be a mechanical challenge for its own sake. The platforming and climbing sequences are forgiving, rhythmic, and integrated into the environment in ways that reinforces the world's story. Collapsed buildings, broken infrastructure, and rusted remnants of human civilization are not obstacles. They are artifacts guiding players through a narrative of absence. Unlike games that rely on time jumps or punishing failure states, Enslaved allows the player to focus on movement as experience rather than mastery. Climbing a derelict skyscraper is not a test of reflexes. It is a passage through history, a physical engagement with memory. Crossing a fallen bridge is less about precision and more about perspective, seeing how the world has been altered by time. This focus on traversal over challenge reinforces the game's central theme. Progress is continuous, not conquest-driven. Survival is not heroic. It is measured in continued motion through a world that does not wait for you. At the heart of Enslaved lies a narrative focus on relationship dynamics, particularly the forced partnership between the two central characters. What makes this compelling is the game's refusal to rush intimacy. Trust is earned gradually, dialogue is understated, and cooperation is sometimes awkward or contentious. Unlike many narrative-driven games of the time, which relied on exposition-heavy dialogue, cutscene monologues, or melodramatic conflict, Enslaved allows emotional beats to emerge organically through shared struggle and proximity. Moments of silence are common. Characters may walk together through rooms with little spoken dialogue, but their reactions, glances, and pauses communicate more than the words could. Motion capture plays a critical role here. The subtlety of body language, hesitation, tension, small gestures adds a layer of authenticity. While technology has aged, the performances remain a highlight, emphasizing emotion through action rather than declaration. If Enslaved is often critiqued, it is for combat. By modern standards, combat is shallow, predictable, and lacks depth. Enemy variety is limited, combat encounters rarely involve or reward mastery. However, I think the simplicity is deliberate. Combat is a mechanical interpretation rather than a centerpiece of gameplay. It exists to enforce stakes, create tension, and maintain pacing, not to provide an expressive outlet for player skill. In this sense, combat aligns with the game's themes. Survival is often messy, necessary, and unremarkable. Power is temporary, victory is measured not in glory, but in continued motion. Traversal mechanics serve as the emotional glue of Enslaved. They maintain flow, encourage observation, and reinforce pacing. The act of climbing, leaping, or navigating the environment is intrinsically tied to the story and the world, allowing players to remain immersed in a narrative rather than distracted by mechanical frustration. The spaces themselves tell stories. A collapsed bridge suggests urgency. A vine-covered skyscraper speaks of abandonment and reclamation. Each platforming sequence is conversation with the world, revealing context without explicit exposition. Beneath its surface, Enslaved interrogates freedom and constraint. Characters navigate systems they cannot fully comprehend, forced into cooperation and compliance. Autonomy is limited, survival often requires dependency, safety is transactional. What makes this compelling is the game's refusal to moralize. Control is neither inherently evil nor benevolent. Dependence is not inherently weak nor noble. Freedom is provisional. These ideals are woven into gameplay, narrative, and environmental design, creating immersive meditation on human experience within systems larger than oneself. Enslaved is deeply emblematic of 7th generation ambitions. The game does not shy away from spectacle, but spectacle is used sparingly and purposefully, often to emphasize narrative or emotional state rather than overwhelm the player. In this sense, the game exists as a transitional work straddling the line between linear, cinematic storytelling and the emerging trend of emotionally driven, system-aware games. Enslaved Odyssey to the West was not a blockbuster. It did not redefine action games or create a new franchise. Its legacy is subtle. It is remembered for its world, atmosphere, and character-driven storytelling, not its mechanical innovations. Survival is continuous, not heroic. Freedom is provisional. Cooperation is complex. Motion and observation can communicate as much as dialogue. The game does not demand recognition, it simply exists. And in that quiet endurance, it remains uniquely memorable. Enslaved does not shout, it whispers, and for those who listen, it lingers.